everyone. You are watching Igniting Minds, the Power of Knowledge, and today we have very special guest, Dr. Bruno. So let's talk to him and get to know what he is doing in University of New Haven and what are the initiative he is indulging himself. So, hi Bruno, thank you so much for coming on Igniting Minds, the Power of Knowledge,
It's my
where
pleasure.
we mainly talk about the students and initiative, how we are like building their career. So let's start with your career, that how you have built it yourself and landing yourself in University of New Haven.
Um, well, let's try a shorter version, right? 'Cause
Okay.
otherwise, I'll be here for 2 hours. No, but I'm originally from Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro,
Yeah.
and I came to the States early on. Did high school here and college. Went back to Brazil for many years.
Mhm.
Then came back in 2009 to do my Ph.D.
Mhm.
And I did my PhD in Philadelphia at Fox School of Business,
Okay.
Temple University. Then after that, I spent a few years in Miami. I did a postdoc fellowship at Florida International
Mhm.
University, where I also taught a few classes. And then in late 2017, I got hired to the University of New Haven.
Mhm.
I interviewed with a number of different universities, but there were a couple of things about the University of New Haven that excited me
Mhm.
during my visit. The first one was the chair of my department, who was a wonderful guy, and I thought, I could really work with this guy. Very, very good person, and I think he was able to create a department, the
Okay.
management department,
Yeah.
that was very welcoming, that feels like a team, I'd say, it's sort of cliche, but even like a family, it's especially since my family is back in Brazil.
Mhm.
So I started here in 2018 in
Mhm.
January. I came a semester earlier
Okay.
than people usually do. And as I mentioned, the second thing that really attracted me to the University of New Haven was that my mandate, the reason for the university to hire me at the time was that they wanted me to start this program, which they dubbed Slice.
Mhm.
And it sounds like a food truck, but it's actually stands for Shared Life Client Experience.
Okay.
And it's a program that, as a student, I had participated in similar programs. It's a program where we act as consultants to a company.
Mhm.
In this case, usually a company based in Connecticut or perhaps Massachusetts. We had one company from Rhode Island.
Mhm.
And so it's all experiential learning. Of course, there is a strong component of strategic management. The course is called
Mhm.
strategic management. But both at the undergraduate level and at the graduate level, the main effort is into applying what we learn in strategic management to these live projects. They are real projects. So
Mhm.
usually with the undergraduates, we deal with smaller companies,
Mhm.
not always, but
Mhm.
in general.
Mhm.
And with the graduate students, we tend to have, larger companies, a bit more
Mhm.
complex
Mhm.
problems. So perhaps a bit more of corporate strategy rather than just business strategy.
Mhm.
But I feel that I had a really good time doing these things when I was a student, and I felt like I learned so much from these experiences. So that when I got interviewed by the University of New Haven and they said that that's what I was going to try to implement here,
Okay.
I felt,
It's
I
something
think this is going to be something I will enjoy,
okay.
right? And I've always enjoyed teaching, so it was very natural to me because, as you know, part of my my work is also a
Uh-huh.
very important part of my work is also related to research.
Mhm.
But the research I did, I continued to do, and I would have continued to do anywhere I went.
Mhm.
But this specific aspect of teaching was very important, and thankfully it has been successful. I believe, even through COVID, which was a huge challenge for the students to do these projects with live clients and so on. Both the students and the clients really embraced the online modality, and it worked. It
Oh.
worked. We
If-
continued to have very good feedback,
Mhm.
even through those periods when people were questioning whether this online education was as good as or worthwhile, right? Because they
Right.
weren't getting as much.
Exposure,
Yeah,
like
but
interaction.
in the at least in the feedback I received from my students and from the clients,
Mhm.
it was not the case. People felt like they were learning
Mhm.
from participating in these activities.
Okay, what if I may ask, what exactly and how it works? Like, if any student is interesting, so how you suggest them to get into these kind of programs?
Well, I have an easy time getting students into my class for a simple reason that it's required.
Right. Okay.
So, and I tell them it's going to be it's a 4 credit class,
Mhm.
especially in the graduate
Right.
level, and we have plans to make it a 4 credit class in the undergraduate level as well.
Mhm.
But so it's a lot of work, but the students have to take it.
It's compulsory, is it?
It
It's
is
part of curriculum.
if you're getting a management major or
Mhm.
you're doing an MBA,
Mhm.
yes, you do have to take the capstone class.
Correct.
Right? I don't teach all of the sections of the capstone,
Yeah.
but we have a very collaborative relationship among the professors who do,
Mhm.
and the curriculum that I developed when I first came here. Of course, each professor puts in their own, touch to the class, but the overall idea is kept, especially because we made it into also a bit of a competition,
Mhm.
right? The students come into the class, then we separate them into groups.
Okay.
Usually, these groups are randomly assigned
Mhm.
because we try to simulate reality as much as possible,
Hmm.
right? So we don't usually choose with whom we're going to work when we get a job. So,
Yeah.
thank you for hiring me. By the way, I brought my best friend to work with me because that's the only person with whom I want to. That doesn't happen, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
you may be lucky and get to work with a lot of people that you
Uh-huh.
love, but that's my case. As I said, the management department and the faculty in general here are great. I feel at home,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes you don't,
Yeah.
right? Actually, and most times you don't really know who you're going to be working with, but you still have to make it work.
I think like that's the it's way of preparing students that what they gonna face in corporate world.
Exactly.
So
That's
every
that's
time
the
you
point.
don't get like your favorite colleagues, you have to some fights, some arguments, but still you have to be in that team and you have to put your own effect there. So that's how like it's a university way of like teaching you and give you the little flavor of like corporate world.
Exactly.
Be ready what you're going for.
And that's what I tell them. I say, I would be doing you a disservice if
Mhm.
if I didn't. Sometimes I feel like, am I doing this just to be annoying? No, there is a purpose to it, right?
Right.
It's something that I believe you will learn from,
Mhm.
and yeah, so that's the idea behind
Mhm.
these groups, and I do ask the students to one of the first assignments they have. First, they come up with a name and a logo and an identity for their group, and they most of the time they sign an NDA with a client
Mhm.
because these are live projects,
Right.
these are real companies. Um, and then I asked them to to write a contract. I give them some ideas of what should be there,
Yeah.
but they can add it as much as they want.
Mm-hmm.
A contract among themselves to keep each other accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't be holding their hand,
Right.
right? It would be weird if I tried to,
Mm-hmm.
right? No, we are talking about college and graduate school here. So, so how do you plan to keep each other accountable? So that has to do with, showing up for meetings, scheduling meetings, meeting deadlines, and so on and so forth, which also helps them to create or practice leadership skills and the work ethic that is important if they want to be competitive. And there are lots of options out there, right? So companies will look for those students who are best prepared, who are the most serious about the job that they are
Mm-hmm.
doing, the
Right.
most organized, and so on.
Okay. Okay. You are from Brazil,
Mhm.
and you have spent like a really good number of years like in United States as
Mhm.
well. What are the major difference you see in academia? Like what exactly like their process and like way of teaching, the methods and all, and what difference you see here?
I'm not sure if there are that many differences. Brazil doesn't have as much funding for education as the United States
Mhm.
does, right? That's number one. But when the institutions of which I was a part, I mean, I studied at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, which is one of our top universities in the country,
Mhm.
and my master's was at the Pompea Graduate School of Business, which has one of the most renowned, or if not one of the most renowned,
Mhm.
MBA programs. It's actually a Master of Sciences, but because we do have a dissertation at the end,
Mhm.
right? Um,
So are you talking about like the resources which we like,
Resources, yes.
have,
I mean, but what I was going to say is that you have these pockets of excellence in Brazil.
Mhm.
So the schools there, if when you get access to these schools, they are very good schools. I would say they are very competitive schools. The type of education you get there, I would compare it to the education in the United States or Europe.
Mhm.
I've had the chance of studying at Erasmus University in Europe and
Right.
some top schools in the United States, and I can tell you that it's the education you get is similar. The issue is you don't have as many schools, and not as many people have access to education as they do here
Right.
in the U.S.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I would say that that's the main difference is access.
Okay.
Right?
And if I ask, like, I see a lot of like benefit side of like being in academia, being in like surrounded by all the professors and all. What are the major challenges you are seeing in University of New Haven right now? Like, what are the pointers you really want to work upon, and what are the like sides you really appreciate?
I mean, in the appreciation side of things, I can say that, as I mentioned before, I'm lucky to work with a group of individuals who are very committed to what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see how really committed the professors are to seeing their students succeed. I say it's interesting because it sounds like a cliche, right? It sounds like what you were expected to say.
Mm-hmm.
But today I had the chance to sit with our interim chair, Professor Khadija,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see that she lives for her students,
Okay.
And we just hired a professor to be my counterpart here in the strategy side of the management department. and we've been working together a lot in the capstone. So she is helping me with a capstone now. She came from one of this country's top schools. She came from Eisenberg, so University of Massachusetts, Amherst. And again, you see the level of commitment in creating activities that will challenge the students, that will prepare the students and make them think critically and engage in the classroom, right? Because one of the challenges we all have is to, get the knowledge across, but to do that, first you need to keep everybody awake and motivated and so on. So that's it's tough to do sometimes because classes can be long and students are tired and you may be tired too. But but you see this commitment. You see how the professors try to engage. I'm optimistic. I mean, I've been here for 6 years, a little over 6 years now.
6 years, 9 months.
6 years and 9 months. Thank you. Well, yeah. There you go. I hadn't done the math. So almost 7 years. Yeah. And it's I've seen the school grow. The business school, especially, I've seen. I think Brian has been a very effective dean. Before him, it seemed like we had some good people here, don't get me wrong, but there wasn't much continuity. I think we went through a number of deans in a short period of time. But then Brian had been here for a couple of years prior to me, and we got the accreditation from AACSB, and we continue improving in that. I'm very involved in the assurance of learning process here. But I just, I think that we grew our international student population quite a bit under his tenure, and due to some of the initiatives he championed. And so I think that is a big positive. Yeah. And I think that the faculty support him, and we try to
as a team, like trying to build, okay.
And I also saw a big change in leadership here at the university level. We had a president here for a number of years who I didn't witness all of the growth that he promoted, but if you look at the pictures around campus, you can see that this was a very small school that became a much bigger entity and institution. And then recently he retired. We had an interim president in Sheon, who was our interim president for about 2 years. And I believe he did a wonderful job. He was a great motivator. In the end, he moved on to become the president of another university. And when we hired our current president, who is a very inspiring guy. I mean, I've had the opportunity to hear him speak a few times, and he has this this ability to talk about the difficulties, the problems, the things that we need to change, and we all hear about the potential problems with the demographic cliff. We hear about problems, students getting their visas to come here and maybe not getting them on time and all of that. But he is able to talk about those things while motivating the faculty and I don't speak for myself. This has been, at least from what I hear, I don't know him very personally. I've spoken to him very briefly a couple of times, but it does feel like, he can give you tough news and say, but let's keep fighting, and this is how we're going to do it, and it's doable, and so on. So you get out of the meeting feeling like, okay, yeah, it can be tough, but
Let's do
it's
that.
doable.
Yeah.
Let's fight for it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. I talk a lot.
Yeah, I'm like I still waiting for that. Which area you feel like university should drag their attention and work upon?
Oh yeah, I mean, I mentioned here a couple of the difficulties that the president himself has
Yeah,
recognized.
yeah.
I feel like from my experience
Uh-huh.
that it's hard. We have a very large international student population,
Mm-hmm.
and we work really hard to get them ready for the job market and
Mm-hmm.
to get them placed, and to have them. How can I say? Take advantage of their OPT and the STEM OPT, right? The
Yeah.
extension,
Yeah.
the 2-year extension that they can get,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially even longer. But it is a tough reality, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
the
it's
market
not
is
the market is
yeah.
tough, especially for international students because
Yeah.
it involves, sponsorship from employers and so on. I do see an effort being made
Mm-hmm.
by the Career Development Center. We actually did a project with them in the capstone
Okay.
one semester, and one of the main focuses of the project was how do we enhance this in general, but specifically for our international students, right? Because we want them to be able to find a job and so on. So I was mentioning to you before we began this that I was really happy that one of my former students from India called me last week to say, Professor, I wanted to let you know because I was always talking to her about this.
Right.
I wanted to let you know that I got a job. That I'm happy, and I start in a couple of months, and then she was around this week, so I got to meet her and a couple of the other students that were in her consulting group in my class, and they were all international. They were all employed. I was very happy to see that. But it's one of the things that I've gone through personally because I'm also international. Right. And I wish we could do more. And I think we are working on it.
Yeah.
But there is only so much that can be done because there are regulations and laws, and hopefully, things will change.
The more a student, like international student coming on board, like with university, the responsibility goes like, more high. Like you need to place, or like a student has very limited time to prove themselves. Like they don't have like a visa like for long life, or like as much as they can.
That's exactly what happened to me as an undergrad.
Right.
When I graduated, I had the 1-year OPT. Right. At the time, there was not a STEM OPT, and I was a philosophy major. So even if there was a STEM OPT, I wouldn't qualify for the STEM OPT. But that's how I felt. I did well in the job where I was. I'm sure that if I didn't have the immigration restrictions, that I would have been hired by the employer for the long run. But 1 year is very short for you to
even like to understand the market situation,
exactly. Yeah, or the requirements to that you need to be able to be hired. So I think that in the business school, one of the big things that attracted the international students, and that we were in a sense, one of the first movers in this direction, was the STEM OPT, because then it gives you 3 years to prove yourself. And 3 years, still, it goes by in a flash, but it's a lot longer and a lot better and
Opportunity, like,
yeah,
or
it gives you
maybe
a
like
much
a
better opportunity to prove
platform
yourself.
to prove yourself, like a skill set and all those.
Yeah.
So yeah, university is doing their part, like trying to maybe come up with more career fairs, inviting like more outsider companies, like, to hire the students. They are doing their part.
Yes.
What do you think, like, the student should do? So as you mentioned, like, it has very short time, like, in their hand, and they have to prepare themselves, like, from the beginning. So that's how
exactly
they can lend themselves, like, at the corner of it. So what kind of piece of advice you would like to give to students who wants to grab the opportunity?
Well, we actually started an initiative, a very recent initiative that I think speaks exactly to that, which is as you come in,
Yeah.
you now have to fill out, before you start classes, you have to have a resume, ready online, and yes, your resume at the beginning of your college career is going to be short. Is not going to be, it may not be very impressive at first, right? But that's the way you begin building. If you leave it to the second semester of your senior year to start thinking about things, you simply won't have as much time to do what you need to do, or even to learn what you need to do in order to start doing it, right? So my advice is, yes, fill out your CV as soon as you come in, and keep updating that CV. Second, and engage with the career development center, right? The talk to your advisor, right? And especially for the international students, engage with the Office of International Students, right? Because they have information. Actually, here at the University of New Haven, I feel like the International Student Office is really well informed. This wasn't the case in every university I've been to, but here I do feel like they have a competent staff that will be able to explain to you what you need to do, what you need to expect, what the next step, so that when you get to senior year, you're just executing on things. And one last thing that I strongly encourage, even if it's not a requirement, internships. Not just one. Do a couple of internships, right? They teach you a lot. They teach you not only the work ethic but they put you out there. They serve as experiences for you to use when you go to an interview. It's very hard I understand that it's very hard to have experience when you're when you just graduated. But if you did a couple of internships,
you have that kind of some examples or some sort of like thing to say that.
Yeah, you have real examples, right? Where you've displayed leadership, where you had to work in teams to solve a problem, when you had to interact with a client. That's another aspect of the capstone class that I like, is that it is a real project. You can actually derive some really good examples from that as well. Here, when we deal with Webster Bank, they send, for pretty much every single project we do, they're sending their top executives. They're sending, sometimes when we talk about smaller businesses, it's the owner that comes here to talk to us, to talk to the students. So those experiences of helping, these professionals develop something, right? Think about a problem, solve a problem. Those are invaluable. And if you take them seriously, they can really serve as a trampoline for your
play
career.
A really major important role these. And I mean, like, once you have like a real experience, I feel like that gives you the confidence. And once you have like confidence, I think you can conquer the world.
Right.
So you don't need to like if I know, like, the kind of situation where like student come across, what kind of problems they face, what kind of like replies they get, where they get like so much down and up. Like, but one thing I feel it's very important is consistency and the confidence. If two think you have it, like just put your head down and with your dedication and just go for it. And the 1 or 2 years, like really important, who can define you, who you are.
Mhm.
So like these two three thing, and networking, like this is something like which can put you in the edge, like helping people
Yeah.
and identify the people, like which is really important. So one I met you like, well, beta gamma, I really would drag your attention towards that how that particular community is helping out like to student, and how you become a part of that.
Oh, Beta Gamma Sigma is a honor society,
Right.
right? That recognizes the excellence of students in business,
Uh-huh.
right? So business students,
Right.
the top business students are invited
Mhm.
to join this honor society. It's an honor society that has existed for, I believe, 111 years now.
Yeah, 1913. It's
1913.
Yeah.
Yes. So I did the math right in this one.
Yeah.
So it's an important institution. It's also the honor society associated with AACSB, which is a very important accreditation for business schools. There is a very, I think, small percentage of it. I think about 5 to 10% of the schools worldwide are accredited by AACSB, and Beta Gamma Sigma is directly associated with AACSB. So you come to the university, and especially in the United States, where we love our sports, right? We recognize a lot of excellence, and we celebrate a lot of excellence in sports. But I think it's important to celebrate the academic achievement of our students too. I mean, it's ultimately the main reason why most of them are here, right? So, and that's what I think is the role of Beta Gamma Sigma, is to help the students. Well, if they know they can be recognized in such a manner and become part of such a society which has chapters around the world and organizes events and training and there are a number. I mean, you can go on their website and you will see there are a number of benefits to being part of it. But I think that the main thing, the thing that drives most of the students is, I put all this effort in, and now I can say I'm part of an honor society that recognizes the excellence of my work, right? I became a member of Beta Gamma Sigma after my Ph.D. in business, and then I came to the University of New Haven, and at that time, Dr. Highfield was the he had been an interim dean, I believe, and then he was the chapter president, right? And as such, he organized a very nice ceremony, nicer than the ceremonies I had been to, or the ceremony where I got in.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, this is nice. And I offered to help him, just because I was a member, and said, if you need anything, you let me know. And then at a certain point, I think a year into my tenure here, he retired, and he said, "Hey, what do you say? Would you like to be the guy to keep carrying on with the tradition here?" And I said, "Sure, it'd be a pleasure." And it's actually a very happy occasion when we have our celebration, our induction ceremony, because it's a day when students are really happy and their
Yeah.
parents are happy, and so it's really a celebration, right? So it's really enjoyable to me um,
And
to
it
be part
gives
of that.
like the kind of motivation to student that they have literally achieved something,
Right.
like the little memento where they can see it and they can remember the memories. Okay, like I have been a part of now this society because I have earned and put an effort so much like during my throughout the years. So that's how I'm getting the honor of
And
it.
I have a student in my class now. I won't call him by name because you know, but
Mhm.
he got inducted recently,
Okay.
and I was really happy, because here we, besides the pin, the key to Beta Gamma Sigma, which is given to every student, we also
Yeah.
present them with the medal
Right.
from Beta Gamma Sigma, so they can wear it at graduation. It's nice, you know. Um, he carries his medal around with him at all times. So the other day I was like talking to him, and he was just talking about it. He was like, "No, I was really proud of that, and it's just sort of like a lucky charm, I guess, for him, because he pulled it out, he pulled the medal, and said, 'Hey, you're always with me.' And put it back in his backpack." So I was like, that was nice to see, that kind of
The attachment comes
attachment
up,
to
yeah.
to because it really, I mean, it's the top 10% of the undergraduate class and the top 20% of the graduate class that get invited.
Okay.
It's not like, oh, I really want to. Can I pay to get in? There's no, I mean, I even say like sometimes people come to me and say like, oh, how do I get in? I'm like, I download everybody's grades and I check, I'm not there to give you anything. I'm
Yeah.
there just to deliver to you something that you earned.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's
It's not like you are building the criteria by your own and like
no,
giving people
it's
to
it's
student.
based on
Not at
it's
all.
based on GPA.
Okay.
It's
Absolutely.
based on your own achievement. So it's really your own achievement, right? And I think that that's something that people enjoy,
Okay.
like to be recognized for, especially when they work hard, right? I mean, and I see that the people who are there are people who value their education, their time here, their commitment, and I'm
Okay.
just glad to be there and get to share in those moments. That's something that's really rewarding to me.
Okay. So it's this community like celebrates the achievement of the student only about that, or like we do more because it's such a big community with like
It is.
really good people who has really good strength and like the ideas and all. What are the new things we do with this community?
Well, the idea, that's a very good question, because and as a matter of fact, I had a meeting about this earlier today. Because when I came in, when I started really taking care of Beta Gamma Sigma, was not, it was quite close to when COVID hit. So at that point, we were, I was together with the dean and some of the faculty thinking about ways to enhance Beta Gamma Sigma and get more engagement from the students and promote it. And one of the main things I think that belonging to a society like this provides is networking. And as you mentioned, it's a very important thing. So we are, during COVID, that everything sort of got put on hold, right? And then now that we are out of COVID and finally, things are really getting back to normal and we just had a meeting today about discussing how to leverage that. Okay. So, for example, with information sessions, more information sessions about the society, so that we create that,
Right.
hey, I want to be part of that. So from the get-go, so it's not something that you hear about later on. Also with perhaps doing more events, during the year that would promote networking, because we have members who are in industry already, who have graduated.
Right.
Perhaps invite some of them. We always have an honoree in our ceremony, so we have some leaders of industry, some people who are well accomplished in the business world who are invited to be honorary members of our chapter of Beta Gamma Sigma, and also perhaps participating in some of the events put by Beta Gamma Sigma itself, like the headquarters, right? They have a summit and a couple of conferences that they put together. A couple of years ago, right before COVID again, we were preparing to send a student there, but I think that's, I can't remember if it actually happened or not. It was a while ago. But that's the kind of stuff that we want to do, to promote the chapter, to promote networking, and to promote the students who get to join.
Yeah. So not only that, I just want to understand, is there any other events also happening with the Beta Gamma Sigma where a student can be part of and do the networking, or only that the one
at this point
Yeah.
we have the induction ceremony. That's the only event we're organizing. But the plans are to have more events that are not for bringing in new members, but to perhaps bring back old members to network with the students.
Right. Like the alumni, or the
Exactly.
The people who used to be part but not very active. It'll be exciting to see.
And also
something.
we're hoping to get more students involved into making it more of a club, right? It's because we have juniors inducted as well as seniors. So if you are at the top of the class in your junior year, you can already be invited.
Right.
So those students getting more involved and having student officers for the society that can help develop those activities as well.
Okay.
Right, because otherwise it's just a lot for one person to take care of, but. And we've had a lot of interest on that, so I'm optimistic about it.
Okay, so Beta Gamma Sigma is something which you can literally have it, where you have to work throughout the year. So don't miss that opportunity to have, and it's very nice thing to show, as he mentioned, very nice. You get the pin, and
I meant to wear mine today.
Right. So it's very interesting. So don't forget that. What piece of advice you would like to give, Bruno, to coming students who are prospective students who are thinking about to join the university?
I think I already mentioned. I mean, get engaged right away. Speak to your professors. Speak to the Center for Career Development. Get, be aware of things. I'm not saying, don't have fun, don't enjoy it. On the contrary, I think you should come to the university. It should be some of the best years of your life.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that, it's only that, right? So get engaged, get to know people, and, perhaps find a mentor in a faculty member or in someone at the International Student Office, somebody who can guide you through the different steps that you're going to take here, and
find out your mentor.
Yeah.
So with this, we'll meet you next time with the next step. Till then, keep watching Ignite Your Minds, the Power of Knowledge. Bye.
Thank you very much.